Okay, another word in context. And let's read and try and use our word clues to predict the right word in context. Again, there are different approaches. You can play positive, negative. You can plug back in. Usually I plug back in only when I have trouble finding or predicting the synonym, the right word. And definitely use your word and punctuation clues around it, because in the new digital SAT, they will help define that word for you in another sentence, in another phrase or clause. So let's read. In addition to being an accomplished psychologist himself, Francis Sumner was a blank, increasing the opportunity. So he was something other than a psychologist. He was something more than just a psychologist. Okay? Increasing was a blank, increasing the opportunity. So they're going to tell us what he is, hopefully. Increasing the opportunity for Black students to study psychology. So he was more than accomplished. He was maybe a good marketer or a salesman, increasing the opportunity for Black students to study. Maybe a pioneer in his culture. I don't know. Helping to found the psychology department at Howard University. So basically, he was a good psychologist, but he sort of pioneered and brought psychology to a Black university. So I'm going to say pioneer. That's not quite right, but he was definitely groundbreaking, introducing it to a new culture. So was he a proponent of increasing? Well, he definitely would have been a proponent of, right? A supplement? No, that means he would just be kind of like an add-on there. A beneficiary of? He's not a beneficiary. He's the one giving. He founded this new department. So he drove the change in the opportunity. He didn't receive it. A distraction? No, not a distraction. It's going to be a proponent. So Sumner was a proponent of increasing the opportunity for Black students. He started this new psychology department at Howard University. That's the correct answer. Okay, let's read in context and try and predict our answer, which again is right here at the end. Well, I said on another question, we don't see that too often, but we've seen a few now since I said that. So let's look, let's read. In a 2019 study, such and colleagues found that the single-celled photozoan Stentor roselli not only uses strategies to escape irritating stimuli, but also switches strategies when one fails. So we've got this single cell entity, right? And for a single cell, it sounds pretty smart. It uses strategies to escape irritation. And if it fails, it tries another one, right? So, okay, that's pretty smart for a single cell. This evidence of protozoans sophisticatedly changing their minds demonstrates that single-celled organisms may not be limited to simple behaviors. It might be more complex or intelligent behaviors. So aggressive, rudimentary is simple. That's probably it. They may not be limited to rudimentary behaviors. This is pretty complex, their behavior. Evolving means changing. That's not it. Advantageous. No, it's not whether they're limited to, good advantageous behaviors. These are examples of advantageous behaviors, but it's not that they're limited to that. The idea is that it's complex behaviors. That's what these are examples of, not simple. So, rudimentary, B. Okay, let's predict the word in context here for the underlined section. Novelist Jesmond declines to blank the conventions of the science fiction genre in which she writes. So she declines to, I'm not sure what it is, but it's probably going to be either adhere, stick to it, or reject. Don't know which way we're going here. Probably adhere. She declines to adhere to the conventions. She's probably going to be a groundbreaker, right? And she has suggested that her readers appreciate her work precisely because of this willingness, which is what word we're referring to thwart expectations and avoid formulaic plots. So she declines to provide the expectations and formulaic plots that science fiction usually has. So she declines to adhere to the conventions. I think that's going to be the idea. So she declines to question the conventions. No, she actually thwarts those conventions. react to, perceive, conform to. She declines to conform to or adhere to the conventions. She does things differently. Okay, let's figure out what word goes here. Nice, we have a colon. So often we get word or phrase clues. We have a colon, which is going to give us an explanation or example of the word that comes before it. In other words, it's probably going to define the word we need to put in here. So let's take a look. Rita Wong, the protagonist of Samuel Delaney's 66 novel Babel 17, is a poet, an occupation which in Delaney's work is not, don't know what. It's too open-ended just from this. But we're going to get the definition here. Nearly a dozen of the characters that populate his novels are poets or writers. Okay, so an occupation in Delaney's work is not rare. A lot of characters that populate his novels are poets or writers. So the protagonist, that is the main character of this novel, is himself a poet. So we have a novel about a main character who's a poet. And this occupation seems to be, well, pretty prevalent. There are a lot of them. So is not rare. An occupation in Delaney's work, which is not rare. It appears often. Nearly a dozen of the characters are poets or writers. So I think it's going to be something like that. Infallible, that means, can't make a mistake. No. Atypical. Atypical is rare. So in Delaney's work, an occupation which is not atypical. In other words, it's fairly typical, and the example after the colon tells us that. That's going to be it. Lucrative is profitable. Tedious is, a lot of detailed work. That's not it. Those are the wrong ideas. Atypical is right.